So we're stoting things now.
Yeah, we're not weaseling things out of anything. We're stoting things now. Hello, everyone. To our new listeners, welcome. To our old listeners, welcome back. We are the Perspective Potterheads, Jenny B and Terri T, and we are here to discuss our favorite fandoms, starting with and primarily featuring Harry Potter content. If you like our content, like it, and if you love it, share, subscribe, and support.
Today, we will be discussing Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, Chapter 14, Norbert the Norwegian Ridgeback. While we're primarily talking about Chapter 14 in Book 1, we will be talking about the whole book, all the other books that we haven't even thought about yet. So spoilers ahead.
Yes.
And if you haven't read the book yet, pick it up, read it. It's fantastic. You'll love it.
We talk about our images, and I wonder if you could guess. This one's pretty straightforward.
It's Norbert.
So I think we might want to refer back to this image when he hatches.
Yes, because I love Harry's description of Norbert.
Yes. Because he looks very wonky and weird in this picture, but at the same time, I'll bet it's a very accurate drawing. Kind of like the troll was.
So my first note is Quirrell is braver than they thought.
Yes.
As we discussed last chapter, Ron thought the stone was going to be gone by Tuesday. Mm-hmm. Quidditch matches are on Saturday, giving Quirrell Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, 3 days. Quirrell must have been a little braver than that. and
go ahead.
They're encouraging Quirrell. Like, they're smiling at him. They're telling people off for making fun of his stutter.
Yes. So that's where my note comes in, is he, like, I'm sure kids have been making fun of him for his stutter. It's not something that just starts happening. But just now, because they hate Snape so much, then they decide we're going to stand up against the bullying. Mm-hmm. Like, we're not going to help you because we should help you because it's the right thing to do. We're going to help you be in spite of somebody else.
Yes, because you are fighting against the same person we don't like. The enemy... Yeah. Or how's that go? Like the enemy of
my enemy is my friend.
Yeah. Something like that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So basically they like Quirrell because they think he's against Snape. Mm-hmm. So, and then we get another little like glimpse of Hermione. It shifts gears. She's drawing up exam study schedules. 10 weeks before the exams. I'm a little bit of a nutcase over prepare for school stuff. Even that's a little much for me. 10 weeks.
But the teachers are on the same page as Hermione.
Yes. Lots of homework. Why are Ron, and this is a question because later on they're in the common room at the end of the day. Again, why are they always the last ones in that common room?
They're good procrastinators.
Are they good procrastinators, or like does Hermione, because they always have Hermione check their work. So does Hermione make them work, like put a bunch of stuff that actually doesn't need to be in there? And everybody else is writing like 3 pages and Hermione's making them write like 10.
Maybe.
Just curious. Like, they're always the last ones in the common room. And it's not even like when they got older, I'm like, well, you know, they're older or they've got more homework. No, it's the first year. You're telling me they're working longer and harder than the kids studying for their OWLs.
Hermione probably is. And then they just have to wait until she's done so that they can kind of copy.
We don't want to leave her.
Yeah.
So she's dragging them off to the library. Mm-hmm. They're going with her, and Harry's looking up Dittany.
And that comes
into handy later.
Yeah, a lot.
So I put that in. I was like, oh, I do like that Ron's like, why are you even bothering? You know it all. But they see Hagrid in the library.
And that just he's
looking
not unusual. Yeah, it's not unusual. It's just the way he's acting when he sees them that makes it unusual. He's like hiding something behind his back. And so Ron goes to investigate.
Yes. What section was he in? I'm going to check it out because he's tired of studying. He just wants something else to do.
So that had me ask some questions. So the way that their library is set up, did it have a dragon section? Because
I'm
like
sure
Ron
they
goes
do.
over
Maybe
there.
It's magical beasts, and then like there's a section on dragons in the magical beasts.
Okay. And I mean, it's been a while since I've actually gone to the library to take out a book, but like in the Dewey Decimal System doesn't always have it like by like dragons.
See, like I'm thinking more like the college library. Like there was like the history section where all the like history books were. There was a philosophy section, a psychology section, because there was a built-in, and I know this, I love the library. I did not like go find books. I would just order them and then the librarian would find them for me and I would pick them up. But the history section had a phenomenal like built-in little desk tucked back in there. And I always said if I ever came up missing, it's probably because I choked on a snack back in the history section. So that's where you should start looking for me if I was missing.
Okay.
So they're in so books on dragons. And this is where we get like a little bit like where Ron really shows his knowledge growing up in a wizarding family, and particularly with a brother that, you know, likes dragons. You know, Charlie works with dragons. You cannot keep dragons as pets.
Yeah.
It was outlawed in 1709.
Ron is like very specific. And I didn't know if this was more of a common knowledge thing of all wizards, you know, if you're come from a long line of wizarding families, or if it's because of Charlie, because Ron just flat out, everybody knows that from the wizard conventions of 1709. Like that's a Hermione fact if I ever heard one, the way that she like, so it was kind of funny the way Ron throwing out one like that.
And it's also an aside that like, by the way, you can't tame a dragon.
Yeah.
You can't. You should
even
see
though
the
they have
Burns
books
Charlie
on it. They sure have books on it, from Egg to Inferno, a Dragon Keeper's Guide. And these are just the ones that Ron finds in the area that Hagrid just was.
Mm-hmm.
So they already know, which, I mean, does Hagrid just not put his books back? He just left them out on the table? Or like, how did Ron know which books Hagrid was looking at?
I don't know. That's not the books Hagrid ends up taking.
Right.
But Hagrid always wanted a dragon. And Harry says that. Like, he told me the first time he met me that he'd always wanted a dragon.
Mm-hmm.
And then Harry's like, there's no dragons in Britain. And Ron's like, oh, yeah, there is.
Iberian blacks and common Welsh greens.
Which Welsh greens we see again.
Mm-hmm. We don't see any Iberian blacks, though, do we?
No, just that Welsh green. I wonder if the poor dragon in Gringotts.
I don't think so, because it's black, right? And the one in Gringotts is white or gray.
He's all milky white because he's been underground for so long.
Oh, that would be super sad if he went from black to white because of the underground, though.
Anyway, we'll get there when we get there. So they're gonna go. They want to go. They start asking Hagrid questions while he's there, before they find out what he's looking up. Because Hagrid asked them if they're still looking for Flamel. And that's what we found out about him ages ago. And then Hagrid's like, don't be talking about that right now. He's like, we have questions about the stone. He's like, shh. I can hear Hagrid really loudly shushing them and making everybody turn. Like, what's he doing? Because he shushes them twice. And the second time, I mean, it's all caps, you know, shh. Kind of thing. So,
and then he tells them that he'll let them know later. Like, we can't be talking about this here. Come down to my hut and we'll talk about it.
So they're going to go. What is Hagrid? And Hermione, what on earth is Hagrid up to?
Mm-hmm.
So they go to see Hagrid. And Hagrid offers them stoat sandwiches.
I had to Google this. I actually just Googled this because I wrote it in my notes to Google it and I didn't. So a stoat is a weasel.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh. He's eating a weasel sandwich. No wonder they refused. Oh. The pictures are really cute, by the way.
Yeah.
Of these little weasels. They look just like ferrets. They're adorable. I want a weasel now. I probably don't really want a weasel. And if I did, I'd probably sing Pop Goes the Weasel like all the time.
So we're stoating things now.
Yeah, we're not weaseling things out of anything. We're stoating things now.
So I love how skilled Hermione is. And they kind of talk about this as a skill. Harry gets really good at this.
He does.
And the person who else was very good at this was Tom Riddle.
Yes.
So very, very interesting. So basically she stokes Hagrid's ego a little bit, like, oh, who does he trust? Who does Dumbledore trust aside from you, Hagrid? Mm-hmm. And Hagrid's like,
yes. His chest swells at the last word, and he beams at her. And then, I mean, there's not really that much harm. They already know who Flamel is. They know what, you know, he's that's guarding. They've seen Fluffy. What could it hurt to say who the teachers are?
So we borrowed Fluffy from Hagrid.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have professors Sprout, Flitwick, McGonagall, Quirrell, and who's that last one? Oh yeah, Snape.
Yes. And I don't remember what the comment that I made in the last video was already, but I was like, we're going to talk about that when we get there. And then I was like, what was I going to talk about?
Just how like Snape would know what they're doing.
Oh, probably because for one, they're all the major subjects. Mm-hmm. Like Sprout has something that is
plant-based.
Herbology. Flitwick has a charm. Mm-hmm. McGonagall has something that's transfigured. Quirrell has defense against the dark arts, but it's a troll. Like Hagrid,
they learn to deal with dangerous. Like it's interesting how much crossover there is between Care of Magical Creatures and Defense Against the Dark Arts, because like you would think, like some of the things they learn in Care of Magical Creatures and Defense Against the Dark Arts, like dragons could fall under both. Hippogriffs could realistically fall under both. Even though they're not
we talked about that before with like things like herbology and potions.
There's a lot
you have to kind of know a little bit of and then Snape for potions, and then Dumbledore does a little bit of something. Mm-hmm. And so we got like the major subjects. Like we don't have divination, we don't have arithmancy or runes, which if they did have runes, that might have been something hard to get by because not too many people seem to know them.
True. So this all concludes with Harry being like, Hagrid, can't we open a window? It's hot in here.
Right. And then I think his eyes kind of dart over to the fire and they all see that egg. And I think Ron's first thing is, that's expensive.
Yeah, it must have cost you a fortune. Well, because they're incredibly rare. Yes. You can't just go to the store and get a dragon egg. It's illegal. So it's a black marketed egg, which then you wonder, like, where did Voldemort get the money for this egg? Because Quirrell had to have procured this from somewhere.
Where does he get something like that anyway? But Mundungus. And Hagrid says he's got to keep it on the fire because their mothers breathe on him. And we see Mother, and maybe it's just this breed of dragon, because we see 4 different kinds of dragons in the 4th book. Mm-hmm. And none of them are breathing on their eggs.
Yeah, those eggs aren't kept in fire.
Right.
Because they bring the eggs.
Yeah, which is really sad. But it's a short space of time,
so like how frequently are they breathing on them? Is it like doing it, So he got this book, Dragon Breeding for Pleasure and Profit. It's a bit out of date, of course.
But it's all
like
in there.
Several hundred years out of date because it was banned in 1709. Mm-hmm. We're in the 1990s.
How does Hagrid think he's going to get away with this?
I love it. Hermione has the most logic. But Hagrid, you live in a wooden house. Like, duh, your house is going to catch on fire. Malfoy kind of catches wind of this, though. Like, he eavesdrops. Malfoy is a very up in Harry's business. Worse than Harry is up in Malfoy's business in book 6, when he's, like, actively tracking him because he thinks he's up to something, which he is. Mm-hmm. Like, he kind of overhears.
And so, he overhears it. And then when they go down during one of their morning breaks, he follows them and he sees through like the cracks in the curtains and he doesn't tell anybody.
No, he's holding it over their head.
It's really, I mean, I guess that like holding it over their head, but at the same time, I know Malfoy likes to get Harry in trouble. But Harry, like, he's done it several times. He's got a broomstick. Like anytime that he gets the chance. So, but then again, every time he's done that, it's blown up in his face. Yeah. So,
but he's also like, I think he's waiting because he's holding this over. He's enjoying like that power that I know this and I could get you in trouble at any time. And really, it's not going to be Harry, Ron, and Hermione that are in trouble. It's going to be Hagrid.
Yeah, that's true. So it's when can he use that against Hagrid type of thing.
So you said we were going to go back to the picture as they show up and it's nearly out. Like it's perfect timing. They like get there just in time.
I can hold the picture up to the screen if you want to read it.
Yeah. So all at once there was a scraping noise and the egg split open. The baby dragon flopped onto the table. It wasn't exactly pretty. Harry thought it looked like a crumpled black umbrella. Its spiny wings were huge compared to its skinny jet body. It had a long snout with wide nostrils, the stubs of horns, and bulging orange eyes.
That describes it pretty well.
Yeah.
I mean, it's in black and white, so you can't see the orange eyes, but yeah, that describes it very well. And of course, like we said, Malfoy sees the dragon, which has got to be so cool for Malfoy too, though, because how rare to see a dragon hatch. Yeah. And then they're freaking out. What are we going to do about this?
Yeah, because they've got to solve this problem because Hagrid's just kind of like, I can't leave it. It's a baby.
Yeah.
He knows his mommy.
Oh my gosh. So there are so many things that Hagrid does that as a new mom, I'm doing these things like what Hagrid is doing. Like, where's mommy? Where's mommy? Like, we do that. Like, we don't play peekaboo. We play where's mommy? And just the singing the lullabies and the constant, like when he gets bigger, it's like the constant feeding and the constant care that you're neglecting
everything else. Like my house is a disaster, but I rocked my baby today.
And then when somebody tries to tell you how to raise it, or if your baby does something, but it's like that's normal for a baby to do, you don't yell at the baby. You would yell at that person for not knowing that that's how a baby's supposed to act. They're supposed to be messy. They're supposed to cry
you in the hand with their poison fangs.
They're babies. Get over it. You're the problem. Hagrid is that. Hagrid is literally the mom to this dragon. I identify with Hagrid in this situation so much. But his house is wooden and it's illegal. And now Malfoy knows.
Yes.
So what are we going to do?
Charlie. No, I'm Ron. I like that that's Ron's immediate reaction. And growing up in a big family, like, no, I'm Terry.
That is probably one of my favorite lines. Like, you're losing it too. I'm Ron, remember?
Not thinking like Harry's never met Charlie. He does not know who Charlie is. Other than just
they've talked about him a lot so far in this book, a couple times. But then he says, no, Charlie, your brother, studying dragons. We can send Norbert to him. He can live in the wild. It's a great idea. Ron should have thought of it.
Yes.
But he doesn't. And so they write the letter. And
then they're back in the common room. Again, alone. They're the only Harry and Hermione are still sitting in the common room. But I think in this sense,
I think it's midnight. I think it says it somewhere. They're hanging out. They hang out till midnight a lot.
Yes, they're up very late, and they never seem to have any problem getting out of bed the next morning.
Right? Weird. They're young.
They're young.
They're young. Yeah. We got to remember we're old now.
I know, right? Like, do you know how many times? I mean, I frequently see midnight, but it's usually I'm waking up at midnight.
Yeah.
Or something. I do not stay up to midnight. But Ron, we had been helping Hagrid feed Norbert, and he got bitten in the hand. But lucky they're still awake because here comes Hedwig.
Mm-hmm.
If they had been asleep, would Hedwig have waited until morning?
Probably not. She probably would have like tapped on his
Dormitory window.
Yeah. It's interesting how owls can find anybody and everybody, no matter where they are.
Magic.
Yeah.
So now this is Charlie is an adult. Okay. Mm-hmm. And it's like, hey, yeah, I love this dragon, but it's illegal. So can you meet my friends up at the top of the tallest tower at is it like midnight on Saturday? Midnight on Saturday, tallest tower. You're probably gonna get caught and get in trouble, but because Charlie has no idea they have the invisibility cloak.
True.
So
yeah.
But here's the thing. Would they have gotten in trouble if Hagrid had been with them? Hagrid can just say, I'm having them help me with this thing, and doesn't have to disclose.
Yeah, they could have said that they caught the dragon. You know what I mean? We saw this dragon somehow wandering around. You know, they were giving me a hand. But then how would they know? Like Hagrid taking them out to get them? Yeah, it'd be a weird situation. But honestly, if they just like Dumbledore probably doesn't care. You know, if they're just like, we're taking care of this, you know, like if they knew that they were getting like, hey, we made a mistake, we're taking care of it, he probably would have let them go. It's kind of the same thing like with Madame Pomfrey. When Ron goes to the hospital, she doesn't care. She just wants to take care of you. You got to tell her so she knows how to heal you, type of thing. So, but I also think, because you can't just fly into Hogwarts. There are protective charms and stuff. So,
but are there as many now?
Oh, true.
So yeah, they
got the plan, but Ron, his hand from the bite is getting infected, so he has to go to Madame Pomfrey. And Malfoy goes to make fun of him, and he uses the pretext for Madame Pomfrey that he's there to get a book. So he
happens to take the book that has the letter in it.
Yes. And so now they can't change their plans. They have to go through with it. Too late.
But Malfoy still doesn't tell anybody. He's trying to catch them on his own.
Yeah, which is weird because he didn't want to be out of bed for the midnight duel. But I do think that he might want to see this dragon a bit bigger now. So, because I think it was, like I said, he saw the dragon being born. Dragons are pretty rare to see. So he probably wanted to see it all go down. And then again, yeah, it's something that he probably could like lord over them for a while.
Yes.
Even if it meant getting himself caught, which he does get caught. McGonagall comes down in her tartan dressing gown, which is a word I had to Google. So I would never have guessed it, to be honest. But it's like plaid, usually like that Scottish plaid.
And she's got him by the ear.
Yes.
20-point detention and 20 points from Slytherin. And how dare you? Hagrid has packed Norbert a teddy bear for the journey. Which then there's loud ripping noises from inside the crate. It sounded like the teddy was having his head torn off.
Yes.
And they drag this heavy crate. This dragon's pretty big. Like it got, in a week, it grew 3 times in size. So it's a pretty big thing. They're dragging him along, get him up there. And he is, at last, Norbert was gone. And they're ecstatic. No more dragon. Malfoy's in detention. What could spoil their happiness?
Filch.
Answer was waiting for them at the foot of the stairs. As they stepped into the corridor, Filch's face loomed suddenly out of the darkness. Well, 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 he whispered. We are in trouble. They had left the invisibility cloak on top of the tower.
How?
Forget your cloak!
For both of them to forget their cloak.
They're 11. We'll give him that.
I'm not giving that to Hermione.
I forget stuff. Like I my brain is scrambled, so I forget stuff all the time.
Yeah, but you're a mom. Like, you have mom brain, pregnancy brain. Like, that happens. You get
Beyond
pregnant, you get
mom
pregnancy brain. Then it becomes mom brain, and then it happens 4 times over. And yeah,
you should have seen me trekking.
You're allowed. 11-year-olds, like, Harry. We just read like 2 chapters back. Harry was obsessed with that cloak because it was his dad's. It made him invisible. It was so cool. And then he just forgets it. And then Hermione forgets it too. Come on.
They're all like, it's the middle of the night, and they're like, haha, Malfoy's in trouble, and the dragon's gone, and they feel invincible.
Right. Yeah. So, audiobooks, revision timetables versus study schedules, revising versus studying, our lot versus our kind, beat about the bush versus beat around the bush, mad versus nuts, a fortnight, 2 weeks, Philosopher's Stone, Sorcerer's Stone. And so this is an error that I heard in the audiobooks, because it is the name of the book is 1000 Magical Herbs and Fungi. And in the books, in the audiobooks, he says 100 magical herbs and fungi. And I even went back in the audiobooks to the chapter with the book list to make sure that it was always 1000 in the audiobooks too. And it was 1000 when he was reading the book list. So he just had an error in this chapter when he was reading that.
Very interesting.
Yes. So in the books, it's spelled out 1000, not just 100, but actually TH. So I'm assuming that it would also, in the British version that he's reading from, be written out 100 HU, and that it's not just that he dropped a 0 when he was reading it. But I don't know.
I don't know. We'd have to get a copy of the British books. I wonder if we could do. Can I do? Can I do that? Can I get British copies of the books? Oh my gosh, I want them.
That would be cool. Then it would be up to you to do this part. The differences between the Philosopher's Stone and the Sorcerer's Stone.
I do like mad versus nuts. I think mad.
Yeah.
Is more fun.
But then, like, because we use mad as in like angry, not mad as in crazy. So sometimes I have to like, are you mad? Hold on. Context is big in that. So, but that's the way it is with a lot of words. So, but when you're talking about feelings, sometimes I guess that gets a little confusing because people are very confused with their feelings already, like without throwing in synonyms, or not synonyms, homonyms, homophones. I'm really bad with those. Whatever they are. All right, everybody, that is our perspective. Let us know yours in the comments below. Before we go, we would like to thank our editor, Alan, our families, our listeners. Remember to like, share, subscribe, and support. Until next time, stay safe, keep faith. Good night.